For sure.
So real quickly, I think that the best way to begin with this, I've been trying to figure out, well, where do we begin? I would say the first thing I would say about Alexander Dugin is first just sketch out in its entirety your views on him.
Yeah.
What you think of him, problems with his philosophy. If you see anything that's a cogent criticism he has of the West, please sketch out any pros that you see, but also be clear about the cons. And I'll talk about what I see, and then we can kind of break down a little bit of what the other is saying.
Yeah. So Dugin, the problems that I have with him, or like how I view him, is okay. Yeah, he's an advisor, obviously, but no, he does see the issues of, I'll say, the West. Yeah, I mean, because that's a big thing. He sees the issues of the West as far as the LGBT squad going way too far. He sees the issues as far as the DEI stuff. He sees pretty much all those identity things. He sees this identity stuff has gone way too far. We've veered the West, so not just America in this case, has veered way too far from traditionalism, small t, traditionalism, and he sees that as a problem. The thing that I believe where he is wrong is the traditionalism that he seeks is more of a government-run traditionalism versus traditionalism in the sense of, freedom. Essentially, traditionalism, government stays out of it, but the people are the ones that maintain the traditionalism instead of the government comes in and establishes traditionalism, and the reason and that's how you get tradition back. I say the people are the ones that have to bring the tradition back, not it's the government's job to bring the tradition back, because I believe that can lead to potential issues. When you get government involved in things like that, you can lead to, government-run churches, this, that, and the other. So yeah, those are kind of my main views on him from what I've read. I haven't read his books or anything. However, I have done some research on him and everything like that. Also listened to Glenn Beck is a guy that actually turned me on to him as far as interest in him. So kind of have listened to some opinions of Glenn Beck and everything. So yeah, those are kind of the concerns that I have about him and everything. So yeah.
So I said initially that I was going to now talk about him, but let me real quickly, just to be clear, when you said traditionalism, small t, what does that mean?
So small t is, like I said, the small t traditionalism, in my opinion, is where the people are the ones that keep and maintain or conserve the traditions of, in this case, we'll say America. It's the West as a whole, I guess, but to maintain what the traditions. Yeah, the tradition. So church, prayer in schools, straight marriage, the list goes on from there. Those are just some points. Big T traditionalism is the government again comes in and establishes tradition. At first might start off well, but eventually it turns into a totalitarian thing, and yeah, the government's job is to maintain that, and I don't have faith in a singular person to maintain that versus I have a little more faith in multiple people, I guess. Just because you get multiple points of view versus one guy, you get his view of life. If we only run off of me and my point of view on things, there's going to be an issue later down the line, somewhere. Same with you. Same with anybody. If they're the only ones running things like that, except for God, of course. That's the exception, of course. So yeah, that's the big T, little t for me.
Okay, so and we can discuss in a second. So real quickly, my perception of his book. If you guys want to hear the full review, you can go to The Fog on the Whirlwind and look it up. But I'll restate. So in essence, my perception as I read his book, number one, I perceived him to be extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he's a stupid person. I'm not going to say that Karl Marx was a stupid person.
No.
I think he came to a lot of the wrong conclusions, and his philosophy, for sure, every time you implement it, is wrong. Speaking about Marx, there's no way it's not just, good concept, bad follow through. It's like, no, it's a bad concept, and the follow through has always been bad because it cannot be done correctly.
Yeah, right.
So, and I'll come to that in a second, but I will say, so intelligent guy, there's a number of things. So his big fourth political theory, there's a number of things to know. So what is the fourth political theory? He labels it as Eurasianism, and the concept of Eurasianism has a historical subject. Every political theory has a historical subject. So the first political theory actually is liberalism. And when he says liberalism, he is not talking about, FDR over there or Obama over there is a liberal. No, he's talking about all liberalism. This goes all the way back to John Locke, who made the social contract over in England. So the historical subject, which is, for lack of a better term, the axiom, the point of focus for liberalism, is the individual. Individualism, individual liberty, individual property, so on. Then you have the second political theory, which the second political theory really was made to critique the first one. This is kind of the way that it goes. The second is critiquing the first, the third is critiquing the second and first, and then the fourth is critiquing all three.
Right.
So the second was communism / Marxism, which said, well, liberalism is wrong because it allows an exploitation economically, so on and so forth. One is workers' rights, the dictatorship of the proletariat, things like that. Then you've got the third, and so, by the way, their historical subject was class. That it's a class war, rich versus poor, in essence.
Which I would agree.
You have the third political theory, which he kind of lumps in together, but he also draws a distinction. It's a little hard to follow, but he basically says the third political theory is fascism. He throws in National Socialism, and then he makes a difference. So he says the third political theory, fascism's historical subject, is the state, which that's what Giovanni Gentili and Benito Mussolini said, everything inside the state, nothing outside of the state.
Yeah.
Then he pivots and says, but with the case of National Socialism, that was race.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the fourth political theory, well, what is its historical subject? It's the concept, and it's a Latin term, Dasein, or Dasein, D-A-S-E-I-N is how we put it in the English alphabet. The concept of being. And with the concept of being, you also have to look to the past, because the way that you are right now, in a lot of ways, is tied to how you were as a little boy.
For sure.
The environment your parents raised you in, the environment your parents were raised in,
things that
go all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's so the concept of Dasein is the state of being, and that is the important thing. That is the axiom: is that people should be allowed to be. People should be allowed to have their own culture. People should be allowed to be the way that they are, and to have this strong connection to the past, to tradition. Right. So that is the fourth political theory in a nutshell. Now, he has in his book, and I may flip through it if I can't remember the exact quotes.
Yeah.
But in his book, he does say that it is a crusade, and you can hear this, by the way, in his speeches as well, that it is a crusade against modernity and post-modernity. He, in the book, talks about modernity and post-modernity, and really, he does criticize the second political theory and the third, but primarily goes against the first political theory, against liberalism. Now, he really is genuinely, I believe, against all three. So what I will say, and again, this is leading into more discussion because I want to turn it back over to you and have some more back and forth, is I would just say that I've seen at least a video that Glenn Beck has done. I don't think I've seen all of his commentary. I don't know how many times he's talked about the guy. The only one that I saw that I could find that said Blaze TV, Alexander Dugin, was like a 3 or 4 minute long clip of him talking about him. And so it may be he's talked about him since then. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But real quickly, it was eerily similar of what we hear from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, in that Glenn Beck threw around the term fascism like 10 or 20 times.